All right, let me get this link out, guys. Let me post this up real quick. Find the, there we go. Give it a few seconds for it to load up. All right, let me post this on the social media real quick, and then we can get started. So hopefully you guys had a good weekend, guys. This is just going to be a quick session. I'm just going to go and drop the zones for you guys so that you guys, know where the rejection points are. Just a reminder, we have the normal trading room during the week. So if your questions don't get answered today, it's completely fine because I'm going to be back on in a couple hours anyways tomorrow morning to go over stuff more in detail. The market's kind of slow right now anyway, so it's not really, a great time to really analyze because there's really no point when the market's so dead. But let me just send this link out real quick. One more place. And then let me get this on the Facebook real quick. Let's copy it whole. And I'll be looking for any trades off the 4-hour candle I just closed, guys. So I'm going to do that first. I'm going to look over all of the pairs to see if we have any left to kick off the week. Let's see. Let me just post this on the social media real quick on the Instagram. Copy that. All right, post this on the IG real quick and then we'll get started. Let's see what we got here. Swipe that. All right, got that on the IG. Let's see what we got up here. All right, so let me just scan through these real quick, guys. Let me go back to the actual YouTube real quick. Cool, so it looks like some of you guys are in here right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a look for any trades. And then after that, I'll go through the zones and then I can answer any questions. So let's see, good morning, Funky, good morning. Good morning, Indra. Morning, Victor, morning, Nicole, morning, Anthony. Man, he said Miami flight's only $49 for JetBlue one way. Let me know, definitely, Anthony. I'm trying to make it out there in March, bro, for 10X conference. It'll most likely happen. I just got to see how COVID plays out, because I don't know if they're going to be restricting flights. I also don't have my my new California ID that they require to fly domestically now. So I got to go get that. It's a lot of stuff I got to do, but I need to figure out what's going on with that first. But I definitely want to come visit, bro. And if I do, I'm definitely going to hit you up. Morning, John. How's it going, team? Morning, Tune. Or Tune, it's nighttime for us, actually. John and Tune, it's like, what is it, 10 p.m. for us over here? Hey, Cameron, how's it going? I'll check gold right now. Hey, morning, Sammy. So we got a pretty decent amount of people in here. Not a lot, but just a few. This is just going to be a quick session where I'm going to drop the zones for you guys, but I'll also be answering some questions if you guys have anything that you guys want me to take a look at. So I'm going to scan through these pairs real quick, see if there's any entries right here. Looks like we might have an entry here for odd CAD, but I don't think it's something that I would take or even call right now because there's just no volatility in the market. If you guys understand how the market is when you open, the market's really, really slow. So there's really like no point in taking, unnecessary risks when there's no volatility in the market. Because the thing is, you can get caught in a trade and you'll be holding that until tomorrow. And then when volatility actually picks up, it can easily, reverse on you. So that's something that we don't want to happen. So let me see if there's anything here. If there's a trade here, I'm just going to mark it up, and then I can always come back to it. It's not, you know, completely necessary that I have to take the trade right away. It is Sunday. So the market is, you know, overall pretty slow today. So let me just scan through these pairs real quick, see if there's anything that we can take. Since the 4-hour candle just closed, so nothing there for AUD-CHF. AUD-JPY right here, this is a position that we had active from last week. It's still technically active. We never hit, actually we hit TP1. Some people got closed out in profit. Some people are still holding it. So if they are, it still looks good. It's playing out exactly like I mentioned. So I marked it up last week right here where I identified this rejection off this point. I said price was going to come down, reject off this point, and shoot right back up. It's exactly what happened right here. So it's looking fine. But let me just scan through these real quick, just see if there's anything else that we could, you know, possibly take. Our AUD-NZD position here, I think we canceled this last week, but a lot of people kept them up. So it's playing out just like I mentioned too. I said it was going to come down, reject off this structure, and then shoot on up. That's exactly what's happening right here. So it's probably going to continue on up. Let me go ahead and scan through these real quick. Just want to make sure we don't miss any trades that we could possibly take since it's a brand new week. So nothing there, nothing there, nothing there, nothing there. I'm just gonna go through these real quick, guys, because it doesn't really, like, if you guys are familiar with the strategy, it's not that difficult. So I can literally just, you know, take a peek at the charts and I can identify if there's an entry or not. Looks like the US dollar is weak again. So this is probably gonna go up. It's gonna play out like I identified last week. It's probably gonna shoot from here up to that TP. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, I'm not sure if there's a lot of stuff that happened over the weekend. There might have been. I didn't follow the news. I kind of just chilled this weekend since last week was a little crazy. But other than that, so nothing there, nothing there. Yeah, it doesn't really look like there's much to take right now. It looks like NZD USD is playing out like I mentioned too. It looks like it came down a bit and then it rejected off, and then now it's going to continue on up. So it looks like all the USD pairs are weak again. I forgot who I was talking to over the week. Someone kept asking about USD CHF, if it was going to come down, and it played out like I mentioned over here. So here's the zone. It rejected off the zone, and it looks like it's going to keep coming down. I might even just sell USD CHF and just let it ride and see what happens for the next, you know, couple of weeks or so, because this is definitely going to come down. If you guys looked at USD CHF, the next zone is so far down. There's a lot of space to take a trade here, about 100 pips. So the US dollar is just weak overall, guys. So if you guys are wondering, you know, why I see this coming down, it's because all of the US dollar pairs are weak. So, I mean, obviously right here, AUD-USD, it's going up. That means the AUD is stronger than the USD. You know, same with all of the other pairs. So if you look at the other USD pairs as well, it's the same thing happening across the board. So AU right here, EU right here is bullish. GU it's bullish, NU it's bullish, UCAD's bearish, and USD CHF it's bearish. Same with UJ, it's bearish, right? So US dollar is weak, guys. You know, it's a lot of people are trying to bet that it's going to shoot up, but you know, odds are it's not going to shoot up because, you know, although we do have the Pfizer vaccine coming out on Monday, it's not going to change the world, guys. It's an emergency vaccine. It's not for the masses, you know. So COVID is still here to stay. So, you know, if COVID is still around, the US dollar is just going to keep being weak against all these other pairs, especially with USD CHF, because the CHF is the Swiss franc's a safe haven currency, if you guys aren't aware. And, you know, that means that it moves opposite of the US dollar. So if there's uncertainty in the world and, you know, we don't know what's going on, economy's bad, then this is just going to keep coming down. And the economy is not getting better anytime soon. You know, COVID's going to be around for maybe 1-2 years. And the vaccine to the general public's not going to be released for a while either. So we just have an emergency vaccine, but it's not necessarily going to affect the market enough to, you know, bring the US dollar back tremendously. Obviously, US is still going to shutdowns. We still have the holidays around, and there's still going to be, you know, a lot of COVID numbers going up from now until, you know, probably mid next year. So, all right, guys. So I think, let me see what else we got here. So Cameron wants me to take a look at gold. I'm going to take a look at these questions real quick before I go through all of the charts for the zones. So I'm going to go through that first. If you guys have any questions, just put them in the chat real quick right now before I get started. because once I get started on the zones, I'm not going to take any breaks. I'm just going to zoom right through them, and then I'll get questions at the end. So I'm going to get the questions right now. Everything that's been answered here, I'm going to move on to the back. So first question is gold from Cameron. Let me go over to gold right here. So I'm just going to mark this up from scratch so you guys can see how I analyze this. So I'm going to delete everything off the chart, take my zones off right here. There we go. We got a clean chart, right? Nothing on there. First thing I do is I turn on the K²SR indicator to identify the zones. So once I have these zones right here plotted, I'm going to go ahead and draw my own zones over those to clean up the chart. So there's one right there. There is one right there. One right here. Big one down here. And then we got two more down here. So going back to what I was just talking about the US dollar being weak, it's going to affect gold directly as well. So once I have that right there, I have all my zones on the chart. The reason why I draw these zones is because they're going to indicate where price is, likely to reject from. So as you can see right here, price generally respects these zones. You can see price pretty much just goes from zone to zone. So price comes from up here down to here, rejects off this zone, comes up to here, rejects off this zone, and it keeps bouncing, right, from zone to zone. So that's why we draw these zones, because now that we see prices right here, we'll know exactly where price is going to go. Price can either reject off this point, so it's going to come down further, probably test this zone, reject right off it, or it can break below. So once you have that set up right there, you can pretty much identify, the different scenarios that can play out. Like scenario one, price can come down, test the zone, and reject back up. Scenario number two, price can break the zone, break this next zone below, and continue down further. So you have two scenarios right there that can play out. Once you have that marked up on your chart, you can pretty much weigh the pros and cons. If you take a sell, what are the odds of it rejecting up? You take a buy, what are the odds of it coming back down, right? So that's pretty much how I analyze the charts. After I do that, I turn on the momentum indicator to give me that confirmation so I know exactly which direction to be trading. So right here, we have a sell signal, right? However, price is right next to the zone. So as soon as it reaches this zone, it can either reject right off it, or it can break down and continue farther below. So with my current knowledge of the market right now, the US dollar is weak. The reason it's weak is because of COVID, right? And COVID isn't going anywhere. So what I see happening here is I see price possibly coming down to here or somewhere within this zone. And then by tomorrow, I see it shooting right back up. The only reason it's coming down right now is because of the Pfizer vaccine news, right? They're going to give out the first vaccination tomorrow to, I know, whatever US client or US citizen is, that requires it, because it's an emergency vaccine. It's the same one that I think Trump took. So we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, it's only having some push right now because of that news that came out over the weekend. But on Monday, I can anticipate it to shoot right back up, unless something happens where it has some sort of breakthrough where like everyone can start taking it. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. So this is probably going to come down a bit. It might come down to here. It might come down even to this next zone over here. But I think overall it's going to shoot back up because the US economy is not getting any better. They released the unemployment data, I think, or the jobless claims, I think last week, right? And they were horrible. So if you go to the news from last week, we have quite a bit of news this week too. So this is definitely going to affect the market. There's going to be a ton of news here that's going to affect the market heavily. But if you look at the news last week, we had the unemployment claims right here. The previous one was 760,000. They were forecasting it to be a little higher, but it was a lot higher than they anticipated. They thought it was going to be 723,000, but it actually went up to 853,000. So that's a ton of unemployment numbers right there. And then this week, the FOMC is going to be making their statement, the economic projections on Wednesday, and it's not going to be any good. It's not going to be any better, right? Retail sales are probably going to be up because it's Christmas, but everything else is not going to look good. So, it's probably going to come down maybe until Wednesday. And then once the news comes out that the economy is still shit, it's going to shoot right back up. So this is pretty much what I see happening with gold right here, I don't think it's going to come down that heavy, guys, because there's really nothing to strengthen the US dollar aside from the Pfizer news. Let me pull up CNBC real quick to identify that and see what's going on, because I didn't follow the news all week and I took a day off yesterday. So let's see, Dow futures rise 150 pips or points, I mean. Kumo staffer accuses New York governor of sexually harassing her for 10 years. Trump suggests White House staff will wait longer for COVID vaccine. See, this isn't going to be good news. I'm just trying to see if there's anything that will, say anything different to like what I currently anticipate to happen with, any of the USD pairs. But looking at gold right here, I really don't think it's going to come down that far. If you guys are familiar with how the market moves, if price is coming down, that means that the US dollar is stronger than gold. If price is going up, that means that gold is stronger than the US dollar. So if you look at gold, historical data right here, it's been coming down since August. But you can see here when COVID first was announced, like in March. See, March was over here. So March, this is exactly the day when we went into lockdowns. See what happened when we went into lockdowns? It shot up like crazy. And then right here, it started coming down a little bit because, supposedly COVID was getting better. And then it shot right back up again, right? So whenever there's news, like news is going to highly affect any pair that's, paired with the US dollar, or if you're looking at gold, which is a safe haven currency, this one as well. So yeah, let me go back to the messages. I think Cameron said something. So Cameron said, would you recommend maybe taking a sell tonight for the morning? Me personally, I wouldn't take the sell, bro, because you're just gambling. Like I mentioned, this can spike up at any time. So you can take that sell if you feel confident. But if you're asking me if I would take it, I would never take a sell for gold. I'd probably buy the dip if it comes down. I probably would buy somewhere here, but I wouldn't gamble that sell because this sell could end really bad. Let me see how far do you have from here. If you were to enter a sell right here, and the thing is, the market's not even fully open, Cameron. Like you're going to be holding this trade for like what, a couple hours, maybe a couple days. This is only going to be about 100 pips or so. But look, check this out. If you take a sell right now and it doesn't even move, it just goes sideways, you're going to be trapped in that trade. By the time the market picks up tomorrow, when the US market opens tomorrow morning, it might spike up. It might not spike up tomorrow, but it might just go sideways for a bit until it spikes way up, right? And what's going to happen when it spikes up? You're going to get stopped out and you're going to regret taking that trade. But if you feel confident, this is my analysis. Don't take this as like there's only one thing that can happen. There's a ton of different things that can happen. But if you know how to trade gold, if you understand how gold moves, gold doesn't move like other Forex pairs. Gold is a highly manipulated asset. So it's mostly based on news. If you follow the news and you see anything that could, benefit the US dollar, then obviously you can sell it. If not, I would buy it. So, all news leads to a bad economy, right, for the US. So it just doesn't make sense why you would trade against it. You're just gambling because you're not playing the game like as if cards are in your favor. You're just gambling because you're thinking it'll drop, to a certain amount, but you never really know when it's going to spike up because it can spike up at any point. It could spike up from here. It could test the structure, spike up from there. It could test this structure, spike up from there as well. So one way to also analyze it is to look at sentiment. So let me check IG sentiment. Gold, USD, XAU, USD. So this is one way to analyze gold as well. So we've already analyzed it from news. News doesn't look good. It looks like it's going to be bullish. Looking at the sentiment here, you can see where everyone's trading. So look at all the people that are long right now. There's almost 80% people long. So this is why price is going down a little bit, because there's a lot of people that are long. Obviously the banks and institutions are not going to want to make it easy for all these people here, right? So I actually see this coming down a bit. So Cameron, if you want to take that sell, it might be beneficial to you temporarily, because since majority of people are long, odds are price is going to come down a bit. So it's probably going to come down. They're going to stop these people out. They'll probably shoot it down there. It'll push up a little bit, and then they'll spike it down even further to stop everyone else out again. And then they'll probably, I think this is what I see happening here, guys. I see it probably indicating like a short here. probably bounce around a bit, drop it down even further. So it depends on how far your stop loss is. So if your stop loss is far enough, you can probably survive these moves. They'll probably spike it up a little bit, or they'll drop it to here. And I think what will happen here is once they drop it far enough, they're going to spike it up because they're pretty much going to follow sentiment. Right now, there's 79% of people are long. As soon as people start moving to the short side, and then majority of people are short, that's when they're probably going to spike it up. So, you don't really know when that's going to happen, because obviously you can see here, so many people are long because they're following the news. The news indicates that it's going to be long because the economy is not going to get any better, but they're probably going to mess with these people here who are long and take their money and stop them out before they spike it up. Eventually it's going to go up, but we just don't know when. So Cameron, if you're thinking about taking the trade, I'd be careful with it. I wouldn't even touch gold right now because it's going to be highly manipulated with the vaccine news coming out tomorrow. Well, I mean, the vaccine news already came out, but the market's closed right now. So the volatility is very low. So it's probably going to pick up when the US market opens tomorrow. And it's probably just going to keep bouncing around back and forth. Or you might even see some crazy spikes, bro. Honestly, you might see probably spike down, spike up, spike down, spike up to stop everyone out, right? Because gold is an expensive asset to trade. So if you don't have enough margin to handle any, drawdown, you're just going to get stopped out. There's a bunch of people gambling right now. So they're going to stop all those people out. And then eventually it's going to shoot up. So it's really up to you, Cameron, if you want to take a sell and, pretty much scalp whatever you can. But me personally, I think it's going to have a big move to the upside probably by Wednesday. So you got, let's see, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You got about 3 days until I think that spike's going to come up because the Fed's going to be speaking and they're going to give their economic projections. More likely than not, it's not going to be great. It's going to be okay, but it's not going to be great. So that's kind of what I see happening, with gold right there. So hopefully that helps. But like I mentioned, don't follow my advice as just a one-sided thing. If you have an analysis for a short, then take your trade if it fits your trading plan. If it doesn't, then I think it's too much of a risky trade to take for the most part. Cameron said, I appreciate it, bro. This helped a lot. I'm watching it very closely. What website was that? Seems like it would help a lot as well. So Cameron, if you want news, I go to forexfactory.com. I just click on calendar right here. For specific US news, I go to cnbc.com. This has like pretty much all the bigger news that is related to the US and US stocks and like gold in general. And then if you want to see sentiment, just go to Google and then search IG sentiment and then type in the asset that you're looking for. So if you're looking for gold, obviously you type in the gold asset there. If you want to look at US 30, type in US 30, and then it's there as well, the DJI. And then you can see where everyone's trading, because obviously you want to trade where not everyone's trading, right? Because if you're trading where everyone's trading, you're probably going to get stopped out, because that's just how the market works. The banks and institutions trade against where the majority is, because that's how they make their money. If they trade where everyone else is trading, they're not going to make as much money because they're just going to make money off the people that are on the opposite side, right? So it's something that you should keep in mind. Don't base it directly off this, because you don't always want to just trade opposite of everyone. You want to make sure that all of your analysis lines up, all of your information lines up, and then you'll check the sentiment at the end, because if your analysis is opposite of the sentiment, odds are your trade's going to play out, because market usually moves where majority of people aren't, right? Or, temporarily, or, in the long term, if it depends on the specific asset that you're looking at. Like gold is a long-term asset. People hold gold for a long time. Same with US 30. But with Forex, it's a little different. So that's where the things it's kind of different, because it depends on which asset you're trading. If you're trading like a future, like gold, oil, stuff like that, that stuff has market cap. Like it has a top and a bottom. If you're trading Forex, there's not really a top or a bottom, because they're two different currencies that are paired. If you're trading just one currency, like that index, then there'll be a top and a bottom. But if you're trading something like, let's see, something like gold, or something like GU, like any of these Forex pairs, these can't be oversold or overbought, because depending on how strong one currency is, it can keep going up, or depending on how weak one currency is, it can continue going down. It's not like US 30 where it can be oversold, overbought, because obviously you're not buying into one currency. You're just basically trading the direction of what's stronger and what's weaker. So hopefully that helps. I know a lot of people don't realize that they try to use the same strategies for like US 30 or for like gold, something that has market cap or something that has a limit as to how high it can go and how low it can go. But for Forex, it's a ranging asset. It goes back and forth. So yeah, hopefully that helps for a lot of you guys that are looking at gold. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at everything else we got here. So we have another question from Anthony. Anthony wants me to check out NZDCHF. So let me go to NZDCHF real quick and make sure the zones are on properly. But yeah, guys, if you guys are just joining the room, just a reminder, for this session, I'm just going to be drawing these zones for you guys, and I'm going to answer any basic questions you guys have or any analysis you guys want me to cover. But tomorrow I'll be going live again for our live trading room where I can go more into detail. So right now I'm just going to, pretty much draw these zones and then answer what basic questions I have now. If I don't answer your question today, don't worry. I'll be back online tomorrow morning in about 5 hours, I think, 5 or 6 hours. I think 6 a.m. my time. So you guys will get your chance. I'm going to be online every single day. So looking at NZDCHF for Anthony right here, looking at NZDCHF, I've drawn my zones right there. Take that off. Right now we have a bullish bias because the most previous signal was a buy signal right here. I just broke the structure. I probably see it pushing up to this structure right here. But once it gets to this point, it can probably come right back down. Or it can break above it. So Anthony, there's like two scenarios that can play out here. So price is currently right here. It just broke the structure. If it closes above it, it can probably push further and test this structure up here. And then from this point, it can either continue on up, break this structure, and continue on further, or it can reject off this right here, or at any point within the structure. It can probably reject right there or reject somewhere up here. It doesn't really matter. Anywhere within this zone right here, it could possibly reject off it. And then if we get a sell signal in the opposite direction, it'll probably come down and test this zone right here. So there's a couple scenarios that can play out right here. The only reason I have a bullish bias is because the previous signal was a buy signal. You can see right here, when we have a buy signal and price, or like, yeah. So right here, if we have a buy signal, or we have one right here, price break structure, we have a buy signal, it shoots up to here, right? What happens when it breaks structure again? It continues up further. And then right here, it continues up further until price reverses. At this point, price reversed from here, we got a sell signal, and then it tested this structure. So you can see right here, price pretty much just bounces from structure to structure, and then we use the momentum signals to identify the direction of price. So right here, price rejected off the structure, we got a buy signal, it pushed up to here, or up to here, I guess. And then it pretty much just continues up further, right? Until we get a sell signal, price break structure this way, and then it goes the opposite direction. So it's really simple, guys. If you guys are able to identify, these important structures, and then you're able to identify the direction of momentum, you can pretty much just ride that momentum wave to the next structure. So like I mentioned here, history always repeats itself. So by looking at this here, we have a buy signal right here, right? Price broke the structure right here. So what do I anticipate to happen? I anticipate it to come up and test this structure right here, right? Once it tests the structure, it can either continue up or it can reject off it and swing back down. So since we only have a buy signal right now, I'm going to anticipate it to come up. However, if price rejects off the structure and then we get a sell signal, similar to what we had over here, you can see that price broke above, or even right here, price came above. We have a sell signal right here. It rejected off here. Pretty much just goes back and forth until we get another rejection off this point, sell signal, breaks the structure, and then it just continues down, right? So that's how these two scenarios play out, because right now we currently have a buy signal. So that's why I have a bullish bias right here, and I think it's going to continue up. But if price rejects off the structure and then we have a sell signal similar to what happened right here, then I would anticipate it to come back down, just like it did right here. Price broke the structure, we had a sell signal, and then it came from that point all the way down here until it rejected off, got a buy signal, and that's why I'm thinking of it to come up. So right now it's kind of a mixed bag, Anthony, because market's really slow. So I personally wouldn't really enter any trades until maybe tomorrow when New York opens, or maybe even London, because there's just no volatility. You can see there's literally no movement. But I think once we get closer to London in about an hour and a half, we could probably see this, push up even further. So let me see what you said over here. Let's see, Anthony said, yeah, thoughts on USD CHF for a sell. So yeah, Anthony, personally right now, I think it's still a buy until we get a sell signal. If we get a sell signal and then it closes below here, then I would take a sell and then ride this thing down to the next structure right here for about, 52 pips. Right there. But until we get that sell signal, I still have a bullish bias. So, for me, I want to be for sure, that's why we have such a high win rate at K2, because I only go for trades that I almost like guarantee are going to hit, because you can see how easy the strategy is. You just wait for price to break structure, you follow the direction of momentum, and you just ride that thing up. So similarly right here, same thing. This is probably going to come up, test the structure, and then that's where it's going to be. That's where the breaking point is going to happen. Once it tests the structure, if you get a sell signal, then it's probably going to continue down. However, if it breaks above here, then it'll probably, continue up further. So this is pretty much, all that I see, happening for NZD CHF. I personally would just hold off on it, bro, because there's like no movement right here. You can see the movement from when market opened. It's only been about like 10 to 15 pips. There's literally no movement there. So I would wait for some movement, wait for this to, either break above here or break below here with the sell signal. And then I would enter that sell, but I wouldn't enter right now because I feel like it's just way too early. All right, let me keep going through the questions real quick. I'm gonna try to zoom through these a little faster, guys, because like I mentioned, I'm not gonna really be taking too much time on this. I'm just gonna be giving you guys the zones, and then I'm gonna go more into detail tomorrow morning once the market's actually moving. Because right now the market's just too slow. There's really no point in taking any trades right now, because you might get caught on the wrong side when volatility starts to pick up tomorrow morning. So looking at GU right here, let me just make sure the zones are cool. Delete these right here. Let's see. Spencer said, you're killing it, rocking it this late. Yeah, definitely, Spencer. I'm ready to make some money, bro. New week, new trades, new everything. I'm ready to get my new FTMO started. Still waiting for them to send me my new account, but I'm definitely ready to kick off the week after, that slow week last week. So definitely here to kick it off and make some money early on in the week. But looking at GU right here, so I do have my zones already lined up. Everything should be good right there. I'm going to go ahead and analyze it from this point. So we have the zones lined up. I'm going to hide this. They're pretty much the same zones from last week. Not much new has happened for GU. It's been slow like pretty much the whole week. But looking at price right here, you can see price broke the structure. However, the most recent signal was a sell signal right here. So the reason for that specific reason right there, I wouldn't take the buy just yet, because what could happen here is price can probably retrace from this point and then possibly continue down. However, looking at the news, the US dollar doesn't seem strong. The reason why it's like moving like this is because of the Pfizer vaccine that's coming out tomorrow. But what I see happening here is I have an overall bullish bias, because I don't think the US dollar is going to get any stronger anytime soon. But you guys got to keep in mind that Brexit has been having issues as well. I think they had issues last week. So that might affect the GBP as well. So for GU, I personally wouldn't really want to trade GU this week. I probably would be more focused on the on any other USD pair, because both have an issue. So if they're both having issues, it can probably just go sideways until it chooses a direction. But looking at GU right here, just going off my original analysis, we have a bearish signal right here. So we still have a bearish bias. So if we have a buy signal right here, then I would anticipate this to continue up further. However, we don't have that buy signal yet. So this might push up or might just go sideways. And until we get the buy signal, it'll probably just pull down from here at some point. Let me see. Yvonne said, do you trade market gaps? There is one on GJ and GU. Yvonne, so I think you're talking about, are you talking about this little gap right here? So the only reason for this gap right here is because market closed for the weekend. So you can see right here, this was Friday. This gap right here wasn't necessarily, I wouldn't consider like a real gap. It's just because market closed, and then there was news about the Pfizer vaccine over the weekend. So that's why it ended up opening over here. But I don't necessarily think it's going to come and fill the gap. So I don't trade market gaps. I trade momentum. So what I do is identify momentum, and I ride that momentum swing in that direction. So if I see the market makers and institutions pushing price up, I'm going to ride that wave to the next zone and make my money off there. And then I'm going to hop off. Like I said right here, I said that buy signal is probably going to appear, right? And look what happened. There's a buy signal. So I think this is going to be a bullish move up. If this closes right here, then it would provide for a buy entry. So if we have this buy entry right here, I anticipate this to continue up from this point all the way up to here. So this would provide for about a 60 pip profit, which is not bad at all. But like I mentioned, I'd have to wait for this to actually close. And then if this continues up here, it's probably going to keep pushing further. Reason for that's because the US dollar is weak. Like I mentioned earlier, this coincides with the gold analysis that I did earlier as well, right? I mentioned that the US dollar is going to be weak, so I anticipate this to go up, right? Same with gold. I anticipate the US dollar to be weak, so I see gold going up as well. So yeah, I think this is going to continue on up. Let's see. Yvonne said I have an overall short bias on those pairs, GJ and GU. Okay. Yeah, so you have a short bias. So I would have a short too, just because I have the sell signal right here. However, if this closes with a buy signal, then I anticipate it to continue on up, because like I mentioned, the US dollar is going to be weak. Keep on over here. Also, he said he's wary of Brexit. There's a lot of stuff going on with Brexit. There's stuff going on with the US dollar as well, with COVID. So I personally wouldn't trade GU for that specific reason, because the US dollar is weak. So this can literally spike up, and then it can also spike down. So you might get caught in this mess over here where price just keeps going up and then goes back down. You can see from the movements last week that it was not moving smoothly at all. You can see all these crazy wicks right here. Like this candle over here wicked about, that's a big wick, like 80 pips. So you might see some crazy movements this week as well with all the news. But yeah, me personally, I still have a bearish bias right here, a short-term bearish bias, because we have this sell signal. However, I have a long-term bullish bias for GU, because I still see the US dollar being very weak. And if we have a buy signal right there, then I anticipate it to test this next structure. And you'll probably see a signal from me for a buy if that ends up happening, tomorrow morning once the US market opens. So it could really go both ways, Yvonne. So if you have an analysis for a sell, then I think you should be completely fine. However, I think if we have a buy signal that closes right here, then you should be a little wary and, maybe reanalyze it to see how that trade is going to play out. Because like I mentioned, GU can literally go in either direction due to the specific news that has come out for, both currencies. So I'd be careful with GU, but if you want to take that sell and it fits your trading plan, then go ahead and take it. Because until we get that buy signal, I still have a bearish bias as well. So yeah, no problem, Yvonne. Yvonne said, thank you. Have areas on the chart marked up where if price closes above, sell will be invalidated. Awesome. That's really smart, Yvonne. So that's the thing with a lot of traders. A lot of traders only see things going one way, right? The thing with Yvonne here, she's already analyzed that like she's playing chess. So she's like, if this happens, then it's going to invalidate her buy and she's going to take a sell. Or if this happens, it's going to invalidate her sell and she'll take a buy. And that's how everyone should analyze the charts. Sorry, let me put my computer on. I just updated my Mac. I don't know how to put this on, like, how do I fix this real quick? Sorry, guys. I'm trying to put this on sleep mode. I just updated the Mac to the newest firmware, and I don't know how hide this stuff. Oh, here we go. Do not disturb. All right, perfect, guys. I just keep getting these text messages, so I want to hide that. All right, so we're good. So yeah, Yvonne. So it looks good for you, you know. But if it ends up hitting that zone that you have drawn up, then that'll be your cue to, you know, maybe change your analysis. But yeah, good. I'm glad to hear that you've analyzed it properly from, you know, both directions. I think you had another one for GJ, right? Yeah, for GJ. So I'm gonna look at this GJ for Funky and for Yvonne. Let's take a look at GJ real quick. So GJ over here. I'm gonna zoom out from here, just make sure the zones are good. So guys, the reason why I'm not you know, redrawing the zones is because sometimes the market hasn't moved much from the previous week and the zones are in the same location. So if that happens, I don't have to go ahead and redo the work all over again. So just looking at GJ right here, it looks like this zone over here has disappeared. So I'm gonna delete that. So what else we got here? Everything else here looks pretty much good, right? All the zones line up. See the zones on the chart. See my manual zones, they all line up pretty much perfectly. So it looks good right here for GJ. Now let me turn on my momentum indicator. And it's same with GU. So we have a pending buy signal right here. However, if this doesn't close, then we still have a sell signal. So you can see right here, we had a sell signal. You can see price broke structure, right? After it broke structure, it came down and tested this down here. So the opposite analysis right here is price is rejected off this point. We have a buy signal. If this closes right here, then we can anticipate this to test this structure before either continuing on up or rejecting off this point and correcting back down. So those are the two scenarios right there that can play out for GJ. Like you saw right now, we have a pending buy that could possibly close. This candle has 3 hours left in the candle. So from now until then, we still have a lot of, you know, time for price to move, especially in the next hour or so when London opens up. Then we'll have some volatility in the market and it'll probably push price either up for a buy or it'll probably push price down for a correction back down for a sell. So there's two different scenarios that can play out here. You know, another way to analyze this is to look at the correlating pairs. So we're looking at GJ right here. And we're thinking of it as a buy, right? So in order to confirm this with the other JPY pairs, we're going to look at AJ. You know, it's going to be one of its correlating pairs. AJ is bullish, right? You can see prices going up. After that, we can look at K² JPY. Price is bullish here as well, right? Look at EJ, it's bullish right there. Look at NJ, it's bullish. And then look at UJ. UJ is a little different because it's paired with the US dollar, but looking at everything else, NJ bullish, AJ bullish, KJ bullish, EJ bullish. So what do you think is going to happen with GJ? It's probably going to be bullish as well, right? So if we have that buy signal that closes, then it's probably going to continue up to here. And from that point, if it breaks this structure up here, then we can anticipate that to push up even further from there as well. So I currently have a short-term bearish bias because the most recent momentum signal was a sell. However, if this buy signal closes right here, then that's going to shift my bias from a bearish bias to a bullish bias. And that's probably what I see happening here. And then looking at the other pairs here, you know, AJ, CJ, EJ, and NJ, they're all bullish, right? So that's going to give you confirmation that GJ is probably going to be bullish as well. That's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is you can probably look at the GBP and see if all of these are bullish as well. So if GA is bullish, which it looks like it's pulling back right here, but overall it's bullish. Looking at GCAD, it's bullish. GC, it's bullish. GU, it's bullish. GN is bullish. So this gives you so many confirmations that if all the GBP pairs are strong, obviously for GJ, it's probably going to be strong as well, right? So if this goes up, that's going to indicate that the pound is stronger than the yen. So looking at the yen pairs and then looking at all of the pound pairs, if they all line up like how we just looked at right now, odds are this is probably going to continue up. So for this right here, I think it's going to be overall bullish. But currently, because we don't have that buy signal yet, it's currently on a short-term bearish bias. So that's how I see GJ right there. But, like I mentioned, we don't really know until this candle closes. Once this candle closes, if it closes with a buy signal, then we can anticipate this to continue up further. Let's see. Funky said, so what do you do when you already have running trades in the opposite direction? So Funky, it depends on your trading strategy, So whenever you enter a trade, you should always have an exit strategy in place already. You shouldn't be guessing on your feet. Like say you're in a sell and then you're like, crap, it looks like a buy now. And then you don't know what to do. Before you enter any trade, you should always have something in mind, what will happen, best case scenario, worst case scenario. What do you do if this happens? Like, that's why you have to set up all these like different scenarios so that you know exactly what to do when that happens. Like right here, we have a bearish bias, right? So if we were to take a sell, we would probably, take a sell. And then if price was to end up, pushing up to here, then we'd probably get stopped out, right? That would be your trading plan. So me personally, Funky, I don't enter trades that are like that where I'm going to question it, because all the trades I take, I'm like 100% sure that it's going to hit. So for me, it's different because I already plan it out and I have a game plan before and after entering the trade. So I already know what to do when anything happens. For you, it's kind of hard to explain because I don't know what made you take that sell. So when you took that sell, you should have analyzed it to determine, what to do when something happens. So you're asking like what to happen if like you get trades running in the opposite direction. If that happens, then best option is just to close your trade. If you're not 100% confident with your trade, you should just get out of it, because you don't want to stress yourself out. Wondering, because here's what happens with a lot of traders. They don't have a game plan when they get into the trade, and then they're doing what you just mentioned now. They're not sure what to do next. So what happens is they just hold on to the trade, right? And the trade just keeps going deeper and deeper in the negative, and then they don't want to exit the trade because they think it's going to come right back down. And what happens to someone that does that? Their account gets blown because they just hold it till eternity until they're out of money. So me personally, I would just cut losses if the trades go against you, and then just move on to the next one, because this isn't the only trade. Like, this isn't going to be your one and only trade. You can take a loss on this trade, move on to the next one, make your money back, and then get back into the game. But I never recommend, holding a trade just because you've got like emotions in it. So you guys got to remember to trade mechanically. Don't trade with emotions. Trade with skill. And if trades don't go your way, just close it out and then move on to the next one. That's all I can give you because I personally don't know, why you're in a sell or what your trading plan was when you entered that trade. So yeah, hopefully that helps, Funky. But I have a short-term sell right here, but if this buy signal closes with this candle, then I anticipate it to shoot up further, because all of the signs show a bullish move for this. Looking at the JPY pairs, if these are all bullish, AJ, CJ, EJ, and NJ, odds are GJ is probably going to be bullish too. And then looking at the other JPY pairs, GBP pairs, they're all bullish as well. This is like temporary pullback, but I think it's going to continue up. Looking at GCAD right here, it's bullish, GC bullish, GN bullish, and GU bullish. So I think these are all going to, indicate that this is probably going to continue up further. He said, wow, thanks, boss. Don't trade with emotions. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I think that's like one of the main problems with a lot of new traders. They trade, they get too emotionally attached to their trades, and they just want to hold on to a trade because they're like praying that it's going to come back in their direction. And most of the time it doesn't come back. And if you would just close your trade, just take that small loss, move on to the next one, you'll be completely fine. Because it's, trading is a long-term game, guys. You have wins and losses. There's no 100% here, 100% there. It's a back and forth game until you hit that hot streak and you just keep winning, and keep on growing your account from that point. All right, so there's GJ. Hopefully that helps, guys. Let's see if there's any other questions before I get started with the chart analysis. All right, GJ. Hey, Uzman, what's up? Uzman said, what's up, K2 fam? Hope you have a great training week. Make sure it goes Make sure you go like the video. Yeah, guys. So if you guys are here and you guys haven't already, if you guys can do me a favor and just like the video, that way other people can find K2. Because if you guys are getting value from this live session, and I have this pretty much every single day, if you guys are having, pulling any value from this, I'm sure there's like a ton of other people that would like to have, this free advice from me as well. So if you guys haven't, that'd be nice if you guys could like the video. That way you can just help with the YouTube algorithm, and then you guys will get notified whenever I go live. With my one-on-one mentoring sessions, because I also do that for free. But yeah, guys, so let's move on to the next question here. Let's see what else we got over here. All right, he said, what's up with CAD CHF on buy? So let me pull up CAD CHF real quick. CAD CHF. So AHIS, here we have right here. I'm going to see if the zones are on properly. So it looks like we don't have this upper zone right here. Let's delete that. Looks like this zone is a little closer. Other than that, I think that's about it. So it looks like all the zones here are on pretty much. I could probably close this one. Redraw these zones right here. So we got a smaller zone right here. Or we just make one big one right there. Other than that, I think everything looks pretty much fine. So those zones are lined up perfectly. Let me go ahead and hide that, turn on the momentum indicator. And yeah, so looking at CAD CHF right here, it looks like it's currently ranging. So it's currently ranging within these two zones right here. However, we do have a buy signal. So looking at this right here, you can see price pretty much is just going sideways, but we had this buy signal right here, right? So once we had this buy signal, it pushed up to test this structure. From that structure, it came back down, tested this structure, came back up right here, tested this structure. So what might happen here is price is probably going to continue down further, test this structure again, and then push back up. So what I see happening here with CAD CHF is if we get a sell signal and it closes below here, then we can anticipate this to continue farther down here. However, price breaks above here and breaks into this structure, then we could probably see it push up to here. So just looking at CAD CHF from bird's eye view, it just looks like it's ranging right now. It's pretty much just bouncing within these two zones. So I personally wouldn't enter this trade if you're in this trade currently, or I mean, if you're thinking about entering the trade, then I would probably recommend that you don't enter it, because the last thing you want to do is enter a trade. Like say you enter a sell, right? Say you enter a sell here and then it spikes up on you. Or say you're entering a buy and then it spikes down on you, right? I personally don't like trading when pairs are in a range, because it just leaves open the opportunity for a breakout in the opposite direction. So just looking at this from right here, you can see price was ranging right here, right? So if I go and replay this from this point, price is ranging within this point. There's two things that can happen here. It can either break above or break below. And me personally, I don't like trading when there's that much uncertainty. I want to trade if there's some sort of bias. If there's a bullish bias, I'll take a buy. If there's a bearish bias, I'll take a sell. I don't like it when price is just going sideways, because you could have entered a sell here and then it spikes up and stops you out, right? It could have done the complete opposite if you took a buy. So like same situation over here. So you can see price comes back into the range, right? Once it comes back into the range over here, price can go in either direction. It can either shoot up from here or it can shoot down from here. And it did the complete opposite right here. If you're looking at this trade, a lot of people would have thought that, price came up, it established a support right here, it rejected off the support. Someone would have thought that it would shoot up, right? However, it did the complete opposite. It came down to here. So that's why I personally don't like trading when price is in a range, unless I have some sort of bias. And looking at the momentum signal right here, we have a bullish bias. So here's one thing, guys. If you guys had the K2 indicators, then you'd have an upper hand, right? Because if you look at this right here, you can see, like I mentioned, price can either go up or down, right? If you have the K2 momentum indicator, you already know that momentum is bullish right here. So our bias would have been bullish. So you would have taken the buy right here, and then you would have rolled that up and made some profit off that, right? Same situation over here. Once price is back in the range, you have two options. Price can either shoot up from here or come down from here, right? But if you had the K2 momentum indicator, you already know price is coming down because you have a sell signal right here indicating that momentum is swinging downwards. So if you took that sell, you would have made profit off this trade as well because price ended up coming down. So this is the edge that I'm talking about in the market, guys. And if I go to where CAD CHF is currently right here, we have a bullish signal right here, right? The only problem with this is that it already came up. So if you were to take this buy right here, you probably already missed the move because this move actually happened over here. We got that buy signal. We would have anticipated this to test the next structure right here, right? And that's exactly what happened. Price came up and tested the structure. So in order for us to take another buy here, we would have to wait for price to break this structure up here to provide for a buy entry to this next structure up here for about 20 pips. However, until price breaks that structure, then I wouldn't take a buy yet, because if we end up getting a sell signal, then it'll probably come down, right? So that's why I wouldn't enter a buy right now, because it's already tested the structure. If price was down here still and it didn't test the structure, then I would take it. However, right now it's already tested the structure and it's probably retracing back before it either pulls up a sell signal for us to take a sell there, or it pulls back up here, breaks the structure, and then it'll take a buy. So this is a tricky pair to trade right now. I personally wouldn't trade it, but if I was to trade it, I would have a bullish bias because the most recent signal was a buy signal. So that's why I'd have a bullish bias. However, like I mentioned, a lot of things can happen from now until London Open, which is in about an hour. All right, cool. So I think that's it for that one. Let me see if there's any other questions before we get started with the market analysis. And then we can move on with the session. So let's see, Kipon wants me to take a look at EA real quick. He said it's at a critical weekly support level. So looking at EA right here, I think EA is bullish too, because I was looking at that for an entry. I mean, bearish. So let's see, Kipon said that it's at a critical support. So I don't have a support here right now. Let me see if I could find one. So let me turn on the K2SR indicator right here. Hide these right here. So I'm just going to make sure that the zones are lined up properly. So it looks like all the zones here are proper. I don't have a support zone right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on the higher time frame, 8 hour, nothing down there. Go on the daily. Damn, this is messy. What happened here? Delete this stuff. Oh, there was a crazy spike up here in March. On the weekly real quick. Just want to make sure that I got these zones on properly. Okay, so I have a zone right here. Okay, so I see that zone that you just mentioned, Kipon. So it is at a very critical structure right here. This is the daily or weekly structure. I think they both line up, so they both count as the daily and the weekly structure. But we do have a sell signal. So you can see right here that Euro odd has been pushing down pretty heavily. I personally wouldn't take this trade right now yet, Kipon. I would wait for it to break below here. So once it breaks below this structure and confirms it closes below it, then I would take that sell position. I wouldn't take it right now because it's currently at that, that critical structure that we just discussed. So I would take it if it breaks below here. The reason why I wouldn't take it right now is because since price is at the structure, price can reject at any point. And then you can see here when price breaks, like when it's inside the structure, it breaks above it and we have a buy signal, it shoots all the way up, right? So that could happen right here as well. If price rejects off this point, we get a buy signal, then it could probably go up to this structure right here. So I personally wouldn't take this trade yet. I would wait for confirmation because you can see the last time this happened here, this pushed up for a nice, let's see, 100 pips. So this could be a nice 60 pips as well if you wait for that to happen, because there's two different scenarios that can happen here. Price can either close with this bearish signal And then if it closes below here, but below this structure, then you can take a sell from that point, right? However, if price rejects off this point and we get that buy signal, then we could take a buy from this point as well. So we can literally trade this either way. I personally would just wait for the confirmation before you enter this trade, or at least wait until London session, because it's probably going to pick up a lot, because there's a lot of news this week. So there's going to be a lot of speculators in the market gambling pretty much these pairs, because there's going to be people that are betting it's going to go down, and there's going to be people betting that it's going to go up. So I personally would hold off and wait for some confirmation. If we do get that sell signal right there, I'd wait for it to close below here. However, if it doesn't close with this sell signal and it closes right back above, then I would take that buy signal somewhere over here and then write it up to this point. So I'd be careful with that key point. I know that you mentioned that you identified this strong support level right here, and I see it there as well. So the last time this support level was tested, we can go back and just see data over here. We can see every time it's broken past it and see what happened from that point. So it looks like it had trouble breaking it for a long time. 2019, it broke it. It didn't push down that far. Here, let's just go ahead and take a look. So price broke structure right there, and then it dropped down. I mean, it dropped down about 100 pips. So it's not something that is small, obviously, but it's a very strong structure that it hasn't been able to break all year. The last time it broke was in November 2019. So this time last year, actually right here, December 2019, it broke structure. It was below it just temporarily before it shot right back up. So that's probably what's going to happen here as well. So I'd probably hold off on that. I would probably take a buy if it provides for a buy entry, because the sell just looks way too risky. But yeah, Capone, hopefully that helps. Like I mentioned, it's barely Sunday, guys, so it's hard to analyze a pair really in depth today because the market's not fully open, and you see volatility is kind of low. So I think by tomorrow or by Tuesday or Wednesday, this will either be below the structure or it's going to reject off this point. It's going to be way up here. So just keep an eye out for that. But I personally would just wait before entering anything new right now, because there's just a lot of different scenarios that can play out, especially for this pair. All right, so let me see. I think that's it for that question. Let me see if there's anything else here before we I zoom through this chart analysis. Yeah, Kipon said Asia session is very slow. Asia Pacific region don't move markets too much. I agree. So that's why we're not really taking trades right now. We're going to wait till London open or New York open before we take any trades, because we don't want to enter trades and then all of a sudden London opens and it spikes price in the opposite direction. And that happens all the time. Cameron said, what are your opinions on the Fib retracement? So Cameron, I don't trade Fibonacci's. One thing that someone mentioned to me is that the K2 pivots line up perfectly with the Fibonacci's. So if that's the case, then, looking at the K2 pivots, if you're not familiar with how they work, they kind of work like Fibonacci's, because I think someone mentioned that when price comes down and it retraces up, these K2 pivots line up with certain levels of Fibonacci. But I personally don't trade Fibonacci. I don't think it's like all that accurate. So I don't personally use it. But if you know how to use it properly, then, you can be very profitable with it. Me personally, I don't trade Fibonacci at all. So I can't personally give you my, my recommendation or any advice on how to use it or how I use it, because I personally never have used it ever in my life. I trade strictly off momentum and off these price structures. So that's just my trading style. It doesn't mean that Fibonacci doesn't work. It just doesn't work for me. So I can't really give any recommendation on that, because I don't use it and I personally don't like it because it's too subjective. I like using objective confirmations where I know exactly that they're strictly on point. The thing with Fibonacci is that they can be plotted in the wrong areas. Like for someone like me that doesn't use Fibonacci, I can probably draw my Fibonacci from, let's see. So this would probably be like the more proper Fibonacci, right? From here, here's the high, and then here's the low. However, for someone like me that doesn't trade Fibonacci, I could draw it in the wrong place. Like I could probably draw it from like here, because I see this swing down, swing up, and I could probably draw it from that point, right? It's going to make a huge difference if someone draws their Fibonacci from this point versus from this point versus from this point. So that's why I don't like that indicator, or that tool, because that tool can be right in so many ways and it can be wrong in so many ways as well. And me personally, I don't like to be wrong. So when it comes to trading, so I don't like to use subjective tools like the Fibonacci. But if it works for you, good for you, because some people are profitable with Fibonacci, but me personally, I just don't like using it. And I have other indicators that I've created from scratch myself that do the same job that Fibonacci does. So that's just my opinion on it. Let's see. Kipon said, have you tried to trade with the K2 system on exotic pairs? Yes. So Kipon, I used to trade exotics all the time. The reason why I stopped is because a lot of people don't have all exotics on their broker. So I would give out signals and some people just wouldn't be able to take the trades. So it just became pointless. But it does work very well on exotic pairs because those are less manipulated compared to the major pairs and the minor pairs, because there's not as much people trading it. The only problem is that the spread's super wide because volatility is usually pretty low for those specific assets, since not as many people trade them. But they do work perfectly fine components. So if you want to go and try that out, I think you'll have a lot of luck. I know Spencer here, he tried it on the US dollar versus the Mexican peso, and that actually yielded some crazy results. So if you want to go take a look at that, you can see exactly how it played out. And I think the strategy that he used was the K2 pivot strategy. So if you want to give that a try, feel free. And it does work on any asset. So you can use it on any Forex pair. You can use it on any commodity, gold, oil, silver, platinum, and pretty much any other indices as well. So it works on any asset since it's based on momentum. As long as there's volatility in the market for that specific asset, you can trade it, because what we're doing is we're just piggybacking the momentum. We see the momentum swing in one direction. We just ride its back to profit and then jump off and then go on to the next one. So I think that's it for that. Let me see if there's anything else here. Nice. Yeah. Spencer said, hell yeah, I did it for USD MXN. It was hitting, definitely. Okay. One more question from Gene Vaughn. Hey, Gene Vaughn, welcome, bro. I know you just signed up recently. So yeah, welcome to the K2 family. He's asking if GU is buying. I think it is buying because, like I mentioned earlier, the US dollar is weak, bro. It's weak overall. So for one thing, you can analyze it using one of the strategies. Right here, we have a bullish buy signal. And then on top of that, you can look at other confluences. So you can look at other correlating assets and see how they're moving. So if you look at AU over here, it's bullish, right? Super bullish. You look at E over here, super bullish as well. GU, bullish. NU, bullish. UCAD, bearish. USD CHF, bearish. UJ, bearish. So since all of the US dollar pairs are super weak, then that's going to give you confirmation that GU is probably going to be bullish as well. So it definitely looks very bullish, Gene Vaughn. So if you're looking to take this trade, I think it'd be a great trade. If you're already in a buy, then I think you're in a good position as well. I think I might just even throw in a trade just for shits and giggles, just to take a trade for the upside on these USD pairs, because the US dollar is super weak right now. So it doesn't look good. Sneaks and window seats. That's a funny name. Can you use the K2 strategy on stocks? Yeah. So Keeks and window seats. I'll just call you Sneaks because your name's kind of funny. I'll just call you Sneaks. So Sneaks, for stocks, it works perfectly fine because this strategy is actually based on stocks. I used to trade stocks a long time ago, but I moved to Forex and indices. So I'll show you for example. So let's see. We have sorry, so I was trying to pull up a stock. Okay, so let me go to a new chart over here, testing. Okay, so let me go to a new chart, or a brand new chart. I don't want to mess up any of these charts that I'm already messing with. So here's a brand new chart over here. Say if you wanted to trade something like what, like Facebook, right? Let's go to like some blue chip stock right here. And, looking at Facebook right here, depending on what strategy you're applying, you probably would have want to apply this on the shorter time frame, like the 10. So if you're applying the intraday strategy, you could add in the not my scripts, trend meter. Sorry, I added the wrong one here. So yeah, we got the trend meter right here. You can see that that everything kind of lines up. So depending on which strategy you're trying to apply, if you're applying the intraday strategy, it lines up right here. You know, obviously you get a green and green, you can take a buy. You get it red and red, you could take a sell. So depending on which one you want to apply sneaks, I would probably not apply this one. I'd apply the pivot strategy. So you can see right here, the pivot strategy lines up pretty nicely. So right here, we had, you know, price trending down. If you got a sell signal, you could have taken a sell and you could have rode that down in that direction. And you said you wanted to use it for options. So if you're trading options, depending on what expiration date you're looking at, you could probably go on the higher time frame. So 10-minute would probably be for scalping. If you're doing like the weekly, you could probably use like the 4-hour. And you can see that it works perfectly fine right here. So if you're using the pivot strategy, there would be an entry here because we have the uptrend. You have the retracement right here. Price comes up, retraces, rejection off this point, buy signal. If you were to take that trade, long position right there, looks like it would have hit full TP. Or if you're trading options, your strike price would probably be at this line right here or somewhere below it, so that you can see if price was way above it, you'd be perfectly fine. So it just really depends on what you're trying to apply, sneaks. But the K2 indicators were based off stocks, because I used to trade stocks like maybe like 8 or 9 years ago. It was a long time ago. I've been trading for like 10 years now. I started with stocks and I went to options, and then from there I went to Forex, and then now indices this year. So it does work on stocks. It just depends on what you're looking for. So yeah, if you want to go more into detail with that, I'm not sure if you have access to the indicators, sneaks, but if you do, we can have one-on-one, and then we can probably figure out a strategy that works best for, you know, whatever type of asset you're trying to trade. Because as long as there's momentum in the market, you can see here that the strategy still works. So we have a buy right there. That would have hit full TP right there. Another buy right here. Full TP if it was, you know, closer. So it just depends on what you're trading. But I've been trading for a long time, so if there's some sort of strategy that you want to apply, I can possibly, you know, help you with that. You know, if you want something more catered to what you're trying to apply, because obviously each strategy applies to something specific. If you're trading options, obviously you're going to be looking at something different versus, you know, these directional movements. Because for options, you're not looking for these directional movements. You're looking for specific areas of price where you can see, you know, break that structure, and then you obviously be in the profit. So yeah, that's it for that question. One last question from Funky's asking, US 30 would be weak too, right? So US 30 wouldn't necessarily be weak because it's not based on the US economy per se. One way to look at that is looking at US 30 over here. The US economy has been weak since March, right? Sure, no problem, Sneaks. Definitely sounds good. But yeah, Funky, looking at US 30 right here, if you look at it from a bigger perspective, you can see that the economy was pretty much bad since March, right? Because of COVID. But you can see right here, when COVID first happened, it dropped heavily, right? But all of a sudden it starts going up. Like, this is crazy. Like, I still find it insane that we're at an all-time high in the middle of a pandemic. How are people are pushing price up and buying stocks in the middle of a pandemic when nobody has money? I mean, like majority of people don't have money, right? Of course, the rich have money, and they'll just keep pushing price up. However, it just doesn't really blend with fundamentals properly, because the economy isn't good, but the stock market's at an all-time high. Like, that just doesn't make any sense. So I personally wouldn't tie the two together. I wouldn't tie the economy being bad and then think that US 30 should be bad as well, because it doesn't necessarily directly affect the economy. I mean, the economy doesn't directly affect US 30 because US 30 stocks are on their own. So let me just pull it up real quick. Let me see. Dow Jones index stocks. Yeah, I have it open here somewhere. There we go. So just because the economy is bad doesn't necessarily mean that all of these stocks are bad right here, right? You know, like Apple's still doing well because people are still buying their stuff during, you know, COVID. And pretty much all these stocks don't like encompass the U.S. economy. They encompass their specific, you know, the specific company as a whole, and all 30 stocks as a whole as well. So I wouldn't necessarily look at, because the economy is bad, US 30 should go down, because these stocks can still do good even if the economy is bad. But it just, I mean, you know, if you look at it from a fundamental perspective, it really doesn't make sense, because you would expect these companies to keep getting richer and richer when the economy is not doing so well. So that's just something to look at, Funky, if you know, trying to analyze it from there. But I wouldn't directly think that, you know, the US 30 is supposed to go down just because the economy sucks, because I don't know, people are going to be manipulating the market one way or another. So that's why I anticipate this to possibly tank super hard, like it did right here at some point. That's why I trade US 30 short term. I don't trade it and swing trade it, because you never know when that drop's going to happen. All of a sudden it might just drop down. Like say COVID just like goes crazy like in the next couple of days. You know, I don't want that to happen, but if it does happen, you can probably see this thing come crashing down. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at US 30. I wouldn't directly correlate it with the health of the economy. All right, guys. So I think that's it for all the questions here. Sorry if I missed anything. I don't think I did, but I'm just going to zoom through the charts real quick and give you guys the parameters for all the zones, so that you guys can mark that up and you guys can have it for your notes, depending on what you're trading. And then tomorrow morning, when I get back on for the live trading room, I can go more in detail, because then the market will be in full swing. And then we can actually, you know, decipher what's going to happen for the rest of the week. So right now I'm just going to give you guys the zones. And if you guys aren't familiar with the zones, like I mentioned earlier, basically the K2SR zones are these areas of rejection on the chart. And you can see that price always respects them. So you can see these same zones that we've drawn today have been tested way back in the past. They were tested back in 2019. They were tested back in 2018, 2017, 2016, and so on, way back to like 2015. So if these zones were tested back here, where price currently is today, you know, odds are price is probably going to reject off them again. So let me go ahead and see if these zones are here proper. And I'm not going to go and redraw the zones, guys, like I normally do, because we're short on time. It's already 11, and I know a lot of you guys are here just for the zones. So I'm just going to draw these zones for most of you guys. And tomorrow, if you guys want me to go in detail or show you from scratch how I draw these, you know, I'm more than happy to do that. But for today, I'm just going to zoom through these so that people can have their zones and they can prepare for their trading week. So price is currently, I believe, that upper zone. So we have these zones proper here. We don't have an upper zone. So when this happens, I'm going to go in the higher time frame, the 8 hour. And there we go. We have the upper zone right there, right? So let me hide this right here. Price is currently within these two zones. And this upper zone over here is going to be 0.96486. And this lower zone down here is going to be 0.96185. So those are the two zones for odd CAD. And then I'm just going to I'm going to zoom through all of these pairs real quick, guys, so that you guys can have these zones. And then, like I mentioned, tomorrow morning, if you guys have more questions, we can go over these pairs more in detail once the market is fully opened. And we can start taking some trades for the week. So let me hide this right here. Spencer's asking me if I'm going to go watch London. So Spencer, I'm probably going to go to sleep because I want to wake up tomorrow for a New York session. I still want to do London one of these days. Hopefully I can do it at some point, but today's just not the day, because I don't want to get too tired early on in the week and then miss like some good trades tomorrow morning, because the market still doesn't fully open today anyways. I think the best day for me to do London would probably be midweek, if not maybe Thursday night, when we close out the rest of the trading sessions. So looking at odd CHF over here, I'm gonna hide this. Price is currently trying to break this structure right here. If it does, then it'll probably test this next structure up here. So this upper zone is going to be 0.67438. And this lower zone right here is going to be 0.66961. So those are the two zones for odd CHF. I'm going to move on to the next one. Right here for AJ, it doesn't look like we have an upper zone. So I'm going to go on the higher time frame to find that zone up there. All right, so actually we do have a zone, but it's way up here. It's super high. So I'm just going to give you guys the zone from this point. Price is currently right here between these two zones. This lower zone is going to be 78.472. And this upper zone over here is going to be, sorry, let me can't see that. That upper zone is going to be 80.276. So the reason I'm doing this in order, guys, is so you guys can go back and rewatch this replay if you guys want to, and then you guys can pull up the zones from there. I'm just going to go through this pretty quickly because you know, we're short on time right now. It's already 11:19. A lot of people just want the zones so that they can plan out their trades for the rest of the week. So that's odd JPY. We're here at odd NZD now. Turn the K2SRs. All right, so this upper zone right here, price is currently between these two zones. This upper zone up here is going to be 1.07027. And this lower zone right here is going to be 1.06312. So those are two zones for odd NZD. Move on to the next one, odd USD. Price is currently within these two zones right now. Let me find that upper zone real quick so I can give you guys that parameter. So price is currently within these two zones. This upper zone over here is going to be 0.77070. And this lower zone down here is going to be 0.75116. So that's it for odd USD. Move on to the next one. I'm gonna try to go through this quickly, guys, because a lot of people are messaging me right now asking for the zones. So let me just get you guys these zones started. Let me see if that's going. All right, cool. So we have these two zones right here. Make sure everything is lined up properly. Yeah, everything looks good there. So take this off and show you guys these zones. So this upper zone right here, price is currently within these two zones. This upper zone right here is going to be 0.69792, and this lower zone right here is going to be 0.69498. So those are the two zones for CAD CHF. Move on to the next one, CAD JPY, and make sure these zones are on properly. All right, so we have all these lower zones that fit pretty nicely down here. I'm going to delete this one. Looks like we can combine these right here. All right, so that looks good. Everything looks good down here. We're going to pull this upper zone right here. Let me go on the higher time frame. Let's go on the daily. So price has reached like a lot of new areas where it hasn't tested in a long time. So that's why we don't have a lot of these other zones on the chart right now. All right, so we have that drawn over there. Everything looks proper. Let me hide this. All right, so price is currently within these two zones. This upper zone right here is going to be 81.602, and this lower zone right here is going to be 81.426. So that's it for CAD JPY. Moving on to CHF JPY over here. Make sure these zones are on properly. Yeah, everything looks good for CHF JPY. Just want to make sure that upper zone is proper. Let's see. Yeah, everything looks good. So let me go back to the 4 hour right here. Take off this indicator. Okay, so price is currently within these two zones right here. This upper zone is going to be 117.221. And this lower zone down here is going to be 116.248. So that's it for CHF JPY. Onto EA. I was currently looking at this earlier. So price is within this zone right now. I'll give you this upper zone over here, which is 1.61447. Again, that's 1.61447. And this lower zone down here is going to be 1.60333. So those are the two zones for EA. Move on to the next one, your CAD. See everything here, make sure everything is good. I can delete this one. delete this one. All right, let's make sure that lower zone is in the proper place. All right, so this is kind of far down. I'm just going to draw this zone over here and this lower one so that we get these closer zones. The zones that are too far are kind of irrelevant right now because price is too far from it anyways, and it's probably not going to reach that point anytime soon. So we just get these zones that are a little closer. So price is currently within this zone right here. This upper zone is going to be 1.55015, and this lower zone down here is going to be 1.54638. So those are the two zones for Euro CAD, Euro CHF next. All right. So we have one new zone down here. And I think that's about it. All right, so we're good at this point. So looking at Euro CHF right here, price is currently breaking this zone right here. This upper zone is going to be 1.07948. And this lower zone down here is going to be 1.07814. So those are the two zones for Euro CHF. Move on to the next one. EG over here. Everything looks pretty much fine on this. I'm just going to go ahead and go on with these zones. Price is currently within these two zones. This upper zone right here is going to be 0.91154. Again, that's 0.91154. And this lower zone right here is going to be 0.90838. Again, that's 0.90838. Sorry, guys. That's EG. You know, like you guys are familiar with EG. EG is a messy pair to trade, so be careful with that one. EJ over here. Make sure the zones are on properly. Yeah, looks for the most part, everything's pretty much good. Only difference is we got a new zone right here. And let me see if there's anything else for that upper area. So we have that zone right there for the 8-hour. And that one's from the daily. So everything looks good here. Go back to the 4-hour over here. Price is currently within these two zones. This upper zone right here is going to be 126.461, and this lower zone down here is going to be 126.058. So that's EJ right there. Let's go over EN next. All right, I think these are good. Let me delete this one. Yeah, I'm just gonna do this from scratch, guys. This one's super messy. So looking at EN right here, so this is pretty much how I would look at the chart, guys, right? This is a naked chart, nothing on the chart yet. I'm gonna turn on the K²SR indicator. And then from this point, I'm gonna draw my zones. This upper zone, this zone right here, this one right there, this one right there, this one right there, there, and then this one right here. And then again, these lower ones down here. So these zones don't have to be perfect, guys. You know, like I mentioned, I draw my zones manually over the K²SRs because the K²SRs are kind of messy sometimes. So you can see how messy it was before I drew this. This is pretty much how the chart looked without it, right? After putting my charts, my own zones on the chart, that's how clean it got. Huge difference. So looking at EN right here, price is currently within these two zones. This upper zone over here is going to be 1.72. Sorry, guys, it's 1.72512. And this lower zone down here is going to be 1.70787. So those are the two zones for Euro NZD right there. On to the next one, Euro USD. Try the K²SR real quick. Sorry, version 2, not version 1. I should take that off. don't use that one anymore. All right, so let's see how this looks over here. I'm just gonna delete that one, redraw that zone since it's a smaller zone now. All right, cool. So everything looks good right there. Price is currently within these two zones. This upper zone is going to be 1.22. Sorry, guys, it's 1.22296, and this lower zone down here is going to be sorry, guys. Sorry, it's hard for me to see. It's 1.20935. So let me just repeat that again because I kind of got mixed up on these two. This upper zone right here is going to be 1.22303. And this lower zone down here is going to be 1.20942 for Euro USD. Move on to the next one, GA over here. I'm going to go ahead and see if these line up. Delete that one. Delete that one. Everything else looks pretty much fine here. Go on this higher time frame, see how everything looks. Just trying to get that lower zone. All right, I'm gonna draw this one down here as well. All right, cool. Let's go back to the 4 hour, hide that. All right, price is currently within these two zones right here. This upper zone is gonna be 1.76937. And this lower zone down here is gonna be 1.75672. So those are the two zones for AU right there. Let's move on to the next one. If you guys are just joining the room, guys, if you guys aren't familiar with the weekly webinar, basically what I'm doing is I'm just marking up these zones for you guys so that you guys can see these rejection points closest to price currently. So if you guys have any questions, I'm probably not going to get to them by tonight because we're running pretty late. It's 11:31 here. But I will be going live again tomorrow morning for our live trading room. So if you guys have any questions you guys want them to be answered, feel free to hop on the live tomorrow morning in about 6 hours, and then I can answer the questions for you guys there more detailed. Also, the market's just slow right now, guys. So there's not really much for us to really take at this time until London opens in about 30 minutes. So you can see volatility starting to pick up, but currently right now, it's kind of hard for us to really analyze anything specific because I don't want to give you guys an analysis in one direction. And then as soon as the markets actually start opening up, like the big markets, London, US, it can easily reverse on you. So that's why I don't want to give you guys, analysis that's, catered to where price currently is right now, when it can go in the complete opposite direction once the markets start to open up completely. So we're gonna look at GCAD right here. I'm gonna pull up K2SR indicator, make sure everything lines up perfectly, which it does. Let's just edit this one a bit. Like this. And adjust this. All right, so everything looks good right there. I'm gonna go ahead and hide that. All right, so price is currently within these two zones right here. This lower zone is going to be 1.70085, and this upper zone right here is going to be 1.71997. So those are the two zones for GCAD over here. Move on to the next one, GCHF. Turn the K2SRs. Looks like this one's kind of messy. I'm going to delete that one. I mean, this is just a messy pair in general. So I'm just going to stretch that down there. All right, so we're good. Price is currently within these two zones right here. This upper zone is going to be 1.18800, and this lower zone right here is going to be 1.18525. So that's it for GCHF right there. Move on to the next one, GJ. I think these should be perfect because I did look at these earlier when I was analyzing GJ. Price is currently within the zone right here. Who did I analyze this for? Oh yeah, Funky. So I was looking at GJ for you earlier, right? And I was mentioning that it was probably going to break out upwards, and it did exactly what we were talking about. So price was currently right here. Man, we should have taken this buy earlier when we were hopping on that analysis. So it's up like 40 pips now. So it hopped 40 pips since we analyzed it earlier tonight. And it's playing out perfectly. I think if price breaks above the structure, then we can probably ride this up from that point right here. Yeah, for like 52 pips. Should be pretty good. Abdul Rahman said, did you do GA? So yeah, Abdul, we did GA already. I'm going down the list in order. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish drawing these structures for everything down here and give everyone the parameters. Once I'm done with the last one right here, which is UJ, then I'll go back to GA and analyze that for you again. And then after that, I think we should be done for the night. So we can pick back up tomorrow morning for the live trading room. But yeah, looking at GJ right here, it's currently within these two zones. This upper zone right here is going to be 139.195. And this lower zone right here is going to be 138.87. So that's it for GJ. Move on to the next one, GN. Looking at GN over here. Let's see. So GN is kind of messy. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to redraw all these here. So we have a naked chart right here for GN. Zoom out from this point. Pull up the K²SR, and then redraw these zones. Just gonna draw bigger zones to cover these areas. Now I just need to get that lower zone on the weekly. Perfect. All right, looks like we're good. Back on the 4-hour right here. The K²SRs. So price is currently within these two zones right here. This upper zone is going to be 1.89012, and this lower zone down here is going to be 1.86090. So that's it for GN. Move on to the next one, GU. I analyzed this earlier, so these zones should be perfectly fine. This upper zone over here is going to be 1.33902, and this lower zone right here is going to be 1.33155. So that's it for GU. On to the next one, NZD CAD. Let's make sure these zones are on properly. Yeah, everything looks good there. So price is currently within these two zones. This upper zone is going to be I'm going to skip this zone because price is already breaking it. I'm going to go up to this one right here. It's going to be 0.90677. And this lower zone right here is going to be 0.89925. So that's it for NZD CAD. On to the next one, NZD CHF. Make sure everything here is good. Yeah, so everything here looks fine. So from this point right here, I'm going to hide this. Price is currently within these two structures. This upper zone is going to be 0.63203. Sorry guys, I'm like, the screen looks like super blurry because I updated my Mac and the numbers are like way different now. I don't know why they did that, where they made things look smaller than they were before. So it's kind of hard to see these numbers, but anyways, this upper zone is going to be 0.63207. And this lower structure right here is going to be 0.62916. So that's it for NZD CHF, NZD JPY. Let's see if everything here is good. Let's hide these structures right there. Yeah, everything looks pretty good for the most part. Delete this one. All right, so everything looks good there. I'm gonna hide this. All right, price is currently within these two zones right here. This upper zone is gonna be 74.008, and this lower structure right here is going to be 73.279. So that's for NJ. We got NU right here. All right, got the home stretch, guys. We're almost done. So let me just get this done for the people that just want the zones. And then once that's done, I can answer any questions. Let's see if there's an upper structure over here. All right, perfect. So we do have them here. Price is currently within these two zones. This upper zone is going to be 0.72322. And this lower zone right here is going to be 0.70214. So that's it for NU right there. On to the next one, USD CAD. USD CAD is a messy pair because it's in a new area that I haven't, that price hasn't really tested before. So let me turn on the K2SRs. Got these on right there. Just gonna delete these two right here. All right, so we got that upper structure. We need to find that lower one. See if we can find it. All right, so it's right here. It's super far off though. So I'm gonna go ahead and hide that. Price is currently within these two zones right here. This upper zone is gonna be 1.28168, and this lower zone down here is gonna be 1.25588. So that's it. Yeah, Abdullah said USD CHF is so bad. Yeah, this is happening because the US dollar is super weak. So this is like another confirmation for what I've been like indicating for everyone, that the US dollar is super weak. So this is probably going to continue down further. So we could probably see this come from this point all the way down to this next structure down here, which is about 180 pips, because the US dollar doesn't really show any signs of the economy recovering anytime soon because of COVID. So due to that, we're probably going to see this continue to drop even further and further up until maybe, sometime next year. At that point, price might reject off here and then correct back up. But until COVID goes away, the US economy is not going to get any better. No matter if there's stimulus, that's going to even be worse because they're going to print dollars. And when they print dollars, the US dollar is just going to get weaker and weaker, right? So I do see this continuing down further. I'm thinking about taking a speculative trade, just taking a sell position, right? And then just pretty much just riding this all the way down until it stops with like a trailing stop or something. Maybe I'll do that. We'll see. We'll see how that plays out. But yeah, guys, so price is currently within these two structures. If you guys didn't get it earlier, this upper structure is going to be 1.28174, and this lower one down here is going to be 1.22. Sorry, guys. It's 1.25598. Again, that's 1.25598. All right, so it looks like we're almost done with these weekly chart analysis for these pairs. So looking at USD CHF, this is doing horrible as well, guys. Just like I mentioned, it's probably going to go down and test this lower structure right here. So looking at USD CHF right here, price is currently within these two zones. This upper zone is going to be 0.89049. And this lower structure right here is going to be 0.87955. So those are the two structures to look out for USD CHF. If the US dollar continues to be weak during this week, which is probably what's going to happen, no matter if the Pfizer vaccine was approved by the FDA, it doesn't matter because that's the emergency vaccine. Until the vaccine is distributed to the masses, then at that point, then we can probably see the economy start to recover a bit. But until then, until like something actually happens where COVID is under control, we're probably not going to see the US dollar get any stronger anytime soon, especially if we have stimulus that comes out within the next month or so. It's just going to drop even harder. So that's it for USD CHF. Last one over here we got is UJ. So let me just make sure everything is proper on here. I think it should be, but if not, I'll make the adjustments. Yeah, so for the most part, everything looks pretty decent here. I'm going to adjust this one. So I'll adjust this one and this one right here because it's moved a bit since then. So I'll draw one right here and I'll connect these two right here as well. There you go. Delete that one. Create a new zone right here. All right, so everything looks good right here. I'm gonna go ahead and hide the K2SRs. So price is currently within these two zones right here. This upper zone is gonna be 104.026, and this lower zone right here is going to be 103.870. So those are the two zones closest to UJ right here. And I think that's about it for the Forex pairs, guys. So I think that's about it for now. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at GA for Abdul right now. And Abdul also mentioned they are printing money to pump SPX, but they're also killing the DXY, and it's going to be messy. No, definitely. That's exactly what I was telling everyone earlier, because you know, it's weird how the US dollar is super weak, but US dollar is US 30 is at an all-time high, like during a pandemic. Like, how does that even happen? Or how does that make any sense? It's pretty much just getting pumped, you know? So we'll see how this plays out. Honestly, I see the crash still happening for the stock market. So that's why I don't have anything holding for long term. I just trade US 30 daily, you know, once a day, and I try to catch that momentum swing, but I wouldn't hold it long term because you never know when this is going to come crashing down. You know, like in February when COVID first happened, nobody saw this crash this crash was gonna play out right here. This crash was crazy. Like, it was so crazy where they had to enable the circuit breakers to stop price from dropping so heavily. So I still see it dropping again at some point. I just don't know when, because that drop is going to happen when everyone who made their money up here, or whoever like bought from down here, made all their money, like the institutions and banks and stuff. They can literally like crash the market by selling it off and pretty much screwing everybody to create another drop like it happened right here, so that they can just go ahead and buy it for a discount again right there and make all their money back, right? It's the rich stay richer. So the thing is, you guys got to make sure not to play their game and get caught in any of this, because if you get caught in this drop, whenever it happens, you're going to be pretty much screwed. So that's why I don't hold any stocks long term right now. I used to have a stock portfolio and I just pretty much cashed it out, like my 401k, cashed it out, and here I am trading Forex daily and US 30 daily, and it's been doing pretty well. So just be careful if you guys are holding any stocks long term, or if you are, make sure you have some stop losses set on those, because you don't want to be holding on to anything when the market goes to shit at some point. But all right, so let me go to GA real quick. This is the last pair I'm gonna analyze for tonight, guys. Just a reminder, this is just a quick rundown of all of the K2SR zones for our watch list, just for the members who want to, you know, prepare for the trading week. Just a reminder, tomorrow I'm gonna be going live for our normal live trading room, and then I'll be analyzing stuff more in detail there. So if I don't get to your question tonight, guys, which I probably won't, this is probably gonna be the last question I get to, I'll still be back on in about 6 hours for the live trading room. So I'm just gonna go over this real quick, and then from there we'll call it a night, and I'll catch you guys in the morning. So let me look at GA real quick for Abdul. So let me go ahead and delete everything off here. I'm just gonna do this from scratch so you guys can see how I analyze this. From the basics. So basically right here, here's a naked chart. I turn on the K2SR indicator, and then I draw my zones. So we have this upper zone right here, this right here. And if you guys aren't familiar with the K2SR zones, basically they are rejection points that my algorithm are able to detect. Basically, these zones are created when price has been tested in the specific price point more than 2 or 3 times. So if you guys have these zones here, you guys will be able to understand, you know, where to trade and where not to trade, because obviously these rejection points are going to be strong areas of support and resistance. So we don't have a lower zone here. I'm going to go on the higher time frame, the 8 hour. I'm going to try to find that lower zone down there. And there we go. All right, so we got that lower zone. You know, let me get that. There's another zone right there as well. It's right here. All right, Abdul. So looking at GA right here, once I have these zones lined up, I'm going to turn on my momentum indicator to identify the direction of price. So currently right here, we have a bullish momentum signal. So I have a bullish bias right here. However, it's at a K2SR zone. So Once we have that bullish signal, I would anticipate it to push up to this point or anywhere within the zone right here. It could be here, it could be here, it could be here. But at this point, price can probably reject off it, right? So I personally wouldn't take this trade right here until price breaks above this structure. I know it's a long way to go, but for me, I want to be 100% confident that I'm trading in the right direction. Because the thing is, if you enter a buy at any point right here, price could literally reject off any of these points. It could reject off here, reject off here, reject off here. You never really know, right? So until price breaks above here, I won't be taking any buys. But once price does break above here, then I will take a long position and ride that to full TP for about 150 pips. And I'm sure all you guys are familiar with it. Trading is a waiting game, guys. It's a game of patience, and you just have to wait for that perfect entry. Because the last thing you want to do is enter a trade down here, and then it ends up reversing on you. However, that's one scenario. So one scenario is price breaks the structure, and then continues on up, right? That's scenario number one. Scenario number two is price can reject off this structure right here. It can provide a sell signal like it did right here. So you can see when price broke structure right here and we had a sell signal, then it pushed all the way down to the structure down here, right? For a move of 260 pips. So same situation right here. Price rejects off this point. We get a sell signal. Then I would take a short position right there. And then if price breaks below this structure, it'll probably continue down even further, right? Possibly. So that's scenario two. Scenario two is price rejects off this structure and then continues down to retest this structure down here. However, until we get that sell signal, I still have a bullish bias. So this could literally continue back up. Let's see. So Abdul said, overall, I still think that it is bearish. No, definitely 100%. Abdul, because looking at price right here, you could kind of just like once you have these zones drawn up, it gives you a storyline because you can see right here, price comes up, rejects off this point, comes down, and it just continues up, right? You can see price generally goes from each structure and then tests the next structure, and then it just keeps bouncing back and forth from structure to structure. So you can see right here that a high was established, right? So we had a high, low, and it just keeps establishing lower highs and lower lows. So right here, price went from down here, consolidated a bit, then dumped. So price retraced up a little bit. I anticipate this to possibly reject off this point and break below here. And once that happens, I think overall it will continue to drop. Another confirmation indicating that this drop is going to continue is I personally would look at the AUD pairs, right? Because if this is dropping right here, this is going to indicate that the AUD is stronger than the pound. So looking at the AUD pairs here, if these are all bullish and angling upwards, then odds are this is going to continue on down because it's going to confirm that the AUD is strong. So looking at odd CAD right here, it's pretty bullish. Odd CHF bullish, odd JPY bullish, odd NZD bullish, odd USD bullish as well, right? So that's why I would think for this to be bullish as well. I mean, to be bearish, because obviously if price is coming down, that's going to indicate that the Australian dollar is stronger than the pound. But this is where it conflicts a little bit, because if you look at the GBP pairs, they're all bullish as well. See, GA is bullish temporarily right now. GCAD's bullish. GBPCHF is bullish. GJ is bullish. GN's bullish. And GU is bullish. So they kind of conflict there because they're both bullish. It's just what's stronger than the other. And currently right now, GA is the pound paired with the Australian dollar is bullish. However, with all the Brexit news going on, this is probably going to come crashing down at some point. Like when you least expect it. Say London opens and then you just have a huge spike downwards. That could easily happen. So that's why my bias is still for a sell right here. But I mean, we'll have to wait and see how that plays out, because there's no guarantee that that's going to happen until it actually happens. So the thing is, I'm going to wait for that to come down, wait for that sell signal. And once I get that sell signal, I'm going to be ready to go. So that's pretty much how I see it. It seems like we have this, the same analysis for GA right here. And just looking at it from a bird's eye view, it looks bearish as hell, right? Because you can just draw a parallel, like you can draw your own trend line right here, and it looks like it's probably going to come down, honestly. So I would just give it some time, let it push up a little bit, and then once it comes back down, pretty much ride that wave down. Because looking at this right here, it's still pretty bearish for the most part. Yeah, no problem at all. So yeah, guys, I think that's about it for tonight, guys. It's already midnight. I need to catch some sleep so I can wake up for New York session tomorrow. But thanks for showing up, guys. If you guys have any other questions, just hop on the live trading room tomorrow morning at 6:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and then we can get started with the trading week. Other than that, guys, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to reach out on Telegram, and I'll try to get back to you guys by tomorrow morning. But yeah, guys, so have a great trading week. Happy New Week. Hope you guys had a great weekend. I'll catch you guys in the morning in about 6 hours.